Dion Dizon with the, oh, we're only now recording. Thank you, Leslie. So I'm Dion Dizon with the Hawaii State AFL-CIO. I'm the COPE director, and COPE is a committee on political education. And also with me, I have Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Ledber. I'm the director of the Labor Community Services Program.
Okay, and then Leslie, reintroduce yourself.
Aloha everyone, my name is Leslie Lopez and I'm here at the Center for Labor Education and Research.
Okay, and so hopefully joining us shortly, we'll have Leighton Torda and Justin Pua'oi if they can get off their other meetings and get everything going. However, so that's the little team that kind of went out and hit the streets in a safe way to kind of bring this to you. Okay, so Leslie.
Okay, so Leighton and Justin are with IBEW, and I'm going to begin sharing some of the videos, the collection of videos that were put together. And the first one was done by Kathy. So it's going to take me just a sec to share the screen. Okay. Again, this is a video that was done by the Labor Community Services. If it's the state fit, go ahead and click play.
The volume.
So basically what's happening here, you can't really hear what's happening in the video, but we're doing a food distribution, which we do weekly. As you can see, we have everyone with face masks on, gloves. Also, once we go out, we do put on, if we have closer contact to people who are coming to pick up food, we do have eye shields. We try very hard to, as you can see, the tables are distanced far apart. We're trying very hard to keep the volunteers to a minimum number and also to keep social distancing. So we're practicing what has been we're trying to practice the changing requirements or recommendations that have been put out, and we can move forward with the video.
Okay, I wanted to ask Kathy, thank you so much for all your hard work in this food distribution program. Just out of curiosity, about how many vehicles are you folks putting food in? I know you put food in the trunk or whatever of the cars that pull up. About how many come to the food service or the food distribution?
So we're doing it on 3 islands on Kauai, Maui, and Oahu. Off the top of my head, I would say there's probably about 200 plus vehicles that come through on Oahu, but there's also multiple families in the car. Same with Maui and Kauai. The neighbor islands, Maui has actually been pushing out a lot of food. I think pounds of food wise, I would say we're close to about 150,000 pounds of food that's gone out. We started the food distribution about 5 weekends ago. So we just did our 5th weekend on Oahu. I believe we did 4 weekends on Kauai, and I want to say about 4 on Maui as well. Yeah, it's probably about 200 plus.
Okay, well, many thanks to you and all the volunteers. I'll go ahead and continue with the video that you made.
So this is the inside where we're packing the food for it to go outside, where we're going to do a distribution, which is a drive-through distribution. And like you were saying earlier, Leslie, we ask people to not get out of their cars. We stage the food in 2 different areas. There's an intake place, which is actually this shot right here is when we have several intakers taking in information from the cars. We ask that the volunteers stand 6 feet away from the cars. And once we do the intake, we send them forward. We ask them to pop open their trunks. The loaders put the food in the trunks, and then the people drive off. So down the way, if you can see through the trees, that's where the food is. And we're in the setting up stage. I found online, you've got to be resourceful because PPE is hard to find nowadays. And so a friend of mine has a business, and she had suggested that she was using these to cover her eyes. And so I went online and bought a whole bunch of these eye shield things. They're really used for when you dye your hair in the beauty industry. But we're using it to protect our eyes, or also if people have sunglasses like Hazel does here.
Wow, what a great idea.
Yeah, it's working really well. So we stick it on the inside to a hat, and once she puts it on, you'll see, I think in the next photo, it'll show what she looks like when it's
Okay.
on. There we go. These are just more volunteers that are bagging food.
15 minutes, we're going to be starting, and as you can see, Irish has on her hat, her glasses, face mask, gloves. See, we're doing social distancing. We have everyone wearing masks, eye protection, gloves, and we have our traffic monitor. And we need that because, as you can see, we have a ton of people on. The street goes the cars go all the way down through downtown. And even when we do our walk-ups, we do try to ask that people do social distancing.
Okay.
Okay,
Sorry, I think I skipped a video there, skipped ahead. But thank you for sharing that video with us. And how can we, is there a food bank that we can donate food to?
Sure. Well, there's either you can do it to my program, which is Hawaii Employees Lifeline Program, or help. And we offer, that's how we're doing this, is we have our own food pantry, but we are partnering up with the local food banks. So if you want to donate to either help or to your local food bank, that would be extremely helpful. Just to kind of let everyone be aware, Hawaii Food Bank is connected with Kauai Food Bank. Maui Food Bank is a separate entity, and so is Hawaii Island Food Basket. So you'd have to make those different, they are separate entities.
I see. Okay, good. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Kathy. So Dion, the next one is through IBEW. Was this Justin?
So let's have Leighton introduce himself. So he was actually able to jump on. So Leighton.
Hey, sorry guys, I had some internet problems here. Anyway, my name is Leighton Torda. I work for IBEW as one of their organizers, and I think what we're gonna see here is some of our members working out at the Honolulu wastewater treatment plant, practicing social distancing while they're doing construction work.
Okay, great. I'm gonna go ahead and get started and click play.
So Leighton, where did you guys get like in terms of implementing safety standards? Because your members have not stopped working, is that correct?
Yes, so I believe some of the companies have been getting their safety policies from OSHA, from the OSHA book for infectious diseases. So I've asked guys to show me what they're signing, because some of these guys are getting new COVID-19, they call them new COVID-19 safety policies that they need to sign before they go on the job site. But I looked at it, it's the same thing as anything like the, protection against the common cold or the flu. So,
and that was the thing that was being said in that letter from, to OSHA. And it was the fact that they're using information that's already available. However, the gap is that there's not enough detail. So if they say refer or use this certain standard, but that standard didn't include the N95 masks, which, we know that's what, well, not that we know, but that's what we've been told is needed in order to like actually properly protect. So like right now we're using like homemade masks and all of that. But just like to that point of where is the information coming from? Because truly, there are gaps that are not being addressed. Yeah. So
there's also gaps on the job site too. Like, so guys are, for the people who are watching or workers, I know that safety policies are in place, but I know guys have told me that even though the policies are in place, they're still being asked to do stuff that are compromising that policy. So I've been telling them, stand up for yourself, and you feel like you're compromising the policy, tell the foreman, hey, you know what? We're not following the social distancing, or I don't feel safe, and then you can find a solution. A lot of guys, they don't know that they can do that, but I tell them that they have the protection of the union behind them, so we can enforce stuff like that.
And I think that's part of the recommendation that the AFL-CIO is looking for, as well as anti-retaliation standards for workers that actually do put their foot down to insist on the right of having a safe job. And so I think the next video you have queued up, Leslie, is actually Justin's. So I'm not sure if he's going to be able to come on. However, this was actually Bank of Hawaii in Kapolei.
Okay, I'll go ahead and click play. So you see the demarcation lines on the floor. I'm assuming 6 feet apart. Wearing masks, cleaning the cellars, that I'm observing. Oops. I keep clicking the back button. Okay, let's get back to the video. So that was the one that Justin shared on the bank, at the Bank of Hawaii. Does anyone have any comments about that, or do you have any other experiences at going to your own banks?
So when I went to Hawaii State Federal Credit Union in Kapolei, they have all the signage, but now they're rerouting the human traffic, the traffic pattern, instead of just going straight into the line, they almost have it to where, so that the line is not wrapping around in order to observe the social distancing standards. Not only do they have like floor markers, they also have rerouted the traffic to be kind of like a one-way in, one-way out, so that people are not just waiting right behind each other. And also they do have like the high plastic barrier, and they have like a line so that you don't stand right up against the window. So those are the that's what I noticed at Hawaii State.
First Hawaiian Bank has pretty much gone virtual in some of their locations. So they made that change even before the COVID thing, which is a different issue, but they don't have the personal tellers. They were actually moving away from that, which I've noticed. One thing I did want to comment on is, part of, even for what we do with community services program is, as we learn more, as things have been changing throughout time, and like the CDC reversed its findings on masks. And so to get the masks were very, very difficult. We have been looking for them, but we are using homemade masks at this point. And we've been very fortunate that people have been donating that, family and friends have been donating that to us. We have been able to purchase some eventually, but it is difficult to get PPE. The other thing is just being creative in the way that we do things. As time is going on, Dion was there this weekend, not only for the people that are coming to get the food, but as you see those demarcation lines on the ground, even though we're asking people to remember to do the social distancing, even for our volunteers, it's just, I think, natural for us to move in closer when we can't hear someone. It's not very intuitive to us in how we communicate normally, so it's just a new normal of how we have to be our practice, how we are dealing with communicating with others. But it's funny because there's some things you just have to be creative with. I personally I'm trying to not use as much plastic. So I was thinking, what can I do to indicate lines in an area that is public, so I can't really permanently mark it either. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go out and find some chalk and draw chalk lines on the ground so that we can make sure that people are distancing themselves. This past weekend, I noticed that even though we would remind to please socially distance, people would still come closer. So I started to put out crates to make barricades. And I mean, we're still improving as we go. I do think we really try very hard to keep everybody safe and give reminders. But like I said, it's just human nature. I think people tend to move closer when they just forget. So
Right. Yeah. People just forget. It's going to take some time to adjust to this change for sure.
I think it feels like when we're used to being closer. And so when we're further apart, I personally feel like I cannot hear. I know I can.
That actually is really truly an issue, but that's where I think culturally we're used to moving forward. But instead you have to step back and say, I need you to speak up. I cannot hear you, and in a pleasant way, but to tell them that they have to speak up, that you can't hear them instead of moving forward, which is just human. It's just what we're used to as a culture.
Yeah. So in fact, before moving forward, I see Justin actually was able to make it on. Jess, I'm not sure if you're able to introduce yourself. We can't see you video-wise.
Background's not working.
Background is working. We can't see you though.
Yeah, that's why.
It's okay.
Hey, step forward, Justin.
There, we see you now.
Okay, you can step forward.
I don't have a solid background. Anyway,
there you go. We can see you now.
Justin Puoy with the IBEW. Kind of help out with the three locals in organizing, and training and whatever else needs help. So, but also a labor advocate for the labor movement and workers' rights. Thanks, Dion, Leslie, the rest of the team for putting this on. Sorry so late. I had some other Zoom meetings to take care of.
Oh, no worries, brother. Thank you. We're so glad you could join us. So do you want to move on, Dion, to the protective measures at Costco?
Okay.
Okay. Oh, because I accidentally clicked forward, I think, a couple videos. So we'll go to that one. Let's start the screen. This is popular.
That sounds exciting.
Dramatic music.
Okay, so you're wanting to see my patient on the floor. Okay, so 6 feet does seem to be the standard, doesn't it? That is being implemented across. I mean, that seems to be the theme that we're noticing.
Yeah.
Costco has evolved from like 3 weeks ago when this all started. It was just a big mess with customers and stuff like that. They did a really good job of protecting their employees with the plexiglass.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
didn't
I
even-
saw that's the first place I saw the plexiglass come up was in Costco.
but they for the customers at first it was really bad, but I saw that they changed the aisles. They made more rooms in the aisles, and you know how before at Costco Kapolei the vegetable and fruit section used to be all cluttered together, where you couldn't get that 6 feet if you went inside there. But now they've opened up, even in the big freezer when you go, there's not that big section in the middle with all fruits and vegetables. And now you can
Wow.
you got more room now. So yeah, Costco, you know, you got to give them props for really thinking, you know, about everybody and kind of setting the standard for the way people do shopping now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Leighton. You know, they've really set the standard for safety. You know, but I'm surprised how quickly the line moves when you're there. There's not really that much of a long line, even though it's kind of out towards the parking lot. But even with that whole toilet paper and tissue thing that was happening in the beginning, Costco has has really moved forward on it. So, you know, like you said, props to Costco and all the other places that are working to definitely have safe standards for. And who knows, this may be the norm going forward.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I noticed at the Costco was the closing of self-checkout.
Oh, they don't do that anymore? In Hawaii Kai they do.
In Kapolei they do.
In Hawaii Kai, the self-checkout was not open during checkout. They weren't allowing customers to still go through the self-checkout during this. They had a system set up where they had someone sort of, I guess, directing traffic, and everyone was lining up with their carts. And so if you had just a few items, you would still line up, and then they would direct you to register. So when I was there, they were not using the self-checkouts. Maybe they still are at the other ones.
At least once a week, and it's open. But, you know, the couple of things about Costco. One is in Hawaii Kai, they actually are monitoring. I think they have it as 5 people or 5 or 6 people in the produce area, Leighton. So our setup is still the same, but they're just minimizing the number of people, and you have to go in a certain direction, which is it's a clockwise direction. Checkout wise, you know, I will say as a consumer, one of the nice things, there are a few stores that it's a visible effort. Some of the grocery stores, a visible effort that they're wiping down each shopping cart before you go in. So you do feel that you're being protected as far as, you know, those measures are in place where everybody has to wear certain things, right? But also everything's being wiped down. And when you go through the checkout, the self-checkout, they wipe it down after every use, which is nice. You know, the other thing I wanted to say about Costco that I think has been good communication is their signage of what they have that's either out of stock or so people don't have to wait in line and be disappointed. So yeah, they have done a great job.
Yeah.
I want to point out one thing that I did see in the video, but midway through the video we saw one of the workers, and I'm not trying to just pinpoint
With the mask hanging on the side and holding the bread.
When I go out and I go out to places, I see a lot of this.
Yeah.
I see this, or I see this
With the nose.
Yeah, with the nose. So I just want to let everybody know that it doesn't work that way. It has to go like this over the mouth and the nose, and you know it won't work. You won't be you won't be protecting yourself, or you won't prevent spreading your germs if it's like this. So
Yeah.
I'm not
I know
saying
that.
person
Sorry,
is
go
guilty.
ahead.
I'm not saying that one person that was in the video is guilty, because I see a lot of people. I'm guilty of doing that sometimes too. Because I wear glasses when I go in, and my glasses fogs up, so I kind of pull it down. And but what I do is that if I do have to take a breather, and I feel like I'm getting a little bit claustrophobic, is I walk to the side, or I look for a place where nobody's around, and then I'll take it off and I'll take a breather, and then okay, I'm good. Then I'll go back.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So
my.
It's just hyper conscious that way. So
Yeah.
I know Justin and Leighton, you guys gonna have to get on, another call for work. So why don't we go through another their videos?
Sure.
That one, the protective measures, Kaiser Moanalua, yeah, that one.
This one? Okay.
Yeah, that's Leighton.
That was some long line.
I know.
Okay.
Okay, so that was my videos, my pictures for the video. So let me comment about not the Costco, but the Kaiser Moana Loa. I went there this past Saturday to go drop off some monochrome for the guys that are taking care of my brother. But they have in the foyer they have 3 registered licensed nurses over there with the forehead monitors, thermometers, where they check their temperature, and they just kind of look you over to see if you're right before you go in. We can't actually go in, but that's the farthest I can go because I don't work there. Anybody going in, they do a forehead swipe and they kind of look you over and see. So I want to bring up something that a lot of the guys in the field are asking. So some of the general contractors are saying that, you know what, when you come onto the job site, we're going to have somebody that's going to screen you before you can come on. And guys, some of the workers are bringing up, they're going, okay, we can understand, like in places like Kaiser Moana Loa, we have trained nurses doing these kind of swipes. They're trained medical professionals. Whereas if you go to a job site, it's maybe just the safety officer or maybe the foreman, when looking them over and saying, you look okay, so I guess you can go work. They asked me, like, how is that supposed to be good? How does that person know? He or she is not a trained medical professional. So that's another thing that I've been telling our guys, like, if you feel you're not safe, just speak up. I feel you. I understand that, yeah, they're not going to have trained medical professionals. Hopefully they're all working in the hospital right now, taking care of everybody. Yeah, so that's one issue. I mean, what was the other one? You guys saw the food landline. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was just like a Bank of Hawaii. I know Justin's Bank of Hawaii picture. They didn't have the person in the front. Justin, when you went to Bank of Hawaii, was there somebody in the front stopping people?
Yeah, there were 2 actually. There was a worker there that was directing people from. So I don't know if you saw from the outside. I had a couple pictures from the outside. As you walking in, there's a person directing you there, and then when you get into the bank, there's a security guard, and then there's also a couple of managers walking around to make sure that everybody is social distancing. And then when you get to the counter itself, you do your business, and while the teller is inputting things or doing your transaction, you have to actually step away from the counter on another marking that I didn't get to because I wasn't sure on the safety precautions of filming or taking pictures within the bank. So
you
actually step back a couple of inches, let them do their business, and then they call you forward. So there's a lot of supervisory is going on as well within the bank. Also, that's why.
Yeah, I gotta say mahalo to the Kaiser nurses. I actually told them what I was doing when I took the picture. I said it was for the Workers' Memorial Day. They go, "Oh, union, right on. Okay, yeah, we're in a union." So I said, "Okay, good."
Oh, good.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, like noticing that the 75-person limit that Foodland is allowing only 75 people in at a time. So I think that's another thing that not everybody's doing that across the board. However, more people are doing that. And so like you mentioned earlier, Leighton, how Costco is kind of been like setting that bar. We're just kind of drawing that hard line of, oh, we're only letting so many people in that way. But I'm not sure if you're comfortable sharing, Leighton. And if you're not, just go but just like you're for your brother.
Yeah. Okay, so for the people watching, Kobe is doing actually pretty good. He's been in the hospital. What is this? His sixth week now, and there was a time like probably between the second and third week where we thought that uh, he wasn't gonna make it. He was having a hard time, but thanks to everybody's support and prayers, that third week he actually made a turn for the better, and then later on in the fourth and fifth week, kind of took a step back, but he was still recovering. And now we're in the 6 week. So now he's slowly getting off his sedation, and they're weaning him off that. He's still on the ventilator. He's still kind of out of it right now, but we're hoping maybe in the next couple of weeks he'll be up, and then he can trend where he can probably get off the ventilator, and hopefully know who we are when we talk to him.
Yeah, and then the good news about your mom.
My mom has been cleared by her doctor. So she's been cleared since 1 week after. So I think it was like April, and don't quote me on this because I'm gonna get the date wrong. But her test result came back on April Fool's Day. It wasn't a joke, but it was positive. And then 1 week later, she was cleared by her infectious disease doctor from Kaiser. So if you guys see her out there, she's been cleared already. She's good to go.
Yeah. So thank you for being willing to share that, because I think that like this health and safety, these protective measures that are being taken, it's like to be in a family that has two family members affected by COVID-19, it's like it can't get more real than that, that way. So maybe we'll jump to Justin's video, so that just in case, I want to make sure we get your guys' stuff in before you have to leave.
Which one was Justin's?
The windward dodge towards the bottom.
Towards the bottom.
There, that one.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, so this video was shot at Windward Dodge. We take our truck for service, and they have a big roll of those plastics that they rip off the plastic, and they come to your car. They wipe down your steering wheel. They wipe down your seat, and they put the plastic protective covering over it before they get in. And then they make sure that they have markers on the pavement itself for where you stand and where they're talking in your vehicle. So that's the 6 feet apart, the preventative maintenance there also. And then instead of how we used to jump out of our cars, leave our cars there, and then kind of walk to the service agent, they're asking everybody to stay in their cars until the service agent approaches you. Which is kind of good. And then at the end of when your car is done, they remove the plastic, they re-wipe your steering wheel and your seat with I'm not sure what kind of, it's just a wipe cleaner, just to make sure that everything, and they remove whatever they touch as far as plastic and things like that. They remove all that. So definitely a good standard there for them. And all from the mechanics all the way to the sales, they're all wearing masks. Some of them are wearing face shields. So it's definitely a good props out there to Windward Dodge.
Nice. And so also, like, I haven't done any kind of services. My car needs a wash, but I don't think the detail is going right now. So I think I wanted to share the Loco Moco one. So we've looked at, different stores, banks, work sites, car dealerships. And so this is actually like we know what Loco Moco is, right? Okay.
wiping our door handles, our machines, anything customers are touching. We have to wipe any, we always ask our customers to stay 6 feet apart. Once you order your food, you have to wait outside afterwards. And it's always mandatory to walk inside with the mask.
So even the tip jar has a mask.
It's pretty cute.
Okay, so that was actually from my daughter's friend who works at Locomoco. So one of the things that she was saying they've been slammed by are the takeout orders. And so because, you know, their proximity is like near to the National Guard base out here at Barbers Point or Kalailoa, she said, you know, they get like really large orders, you know, coming in, and it's just been, you know, like that, dealing with, you know, the takeout and everything. But I don't know where I was going with that, but that was the thing that she said they're really slammed by, was just the amount, the quantity, the takeout orders of nearby, you know, workplaces and stuff like that. And so it's busy. Yeah. Okay. So Leslie, you want to do the post office one?
Sure. These were some pictures I took at the post office in Kahala. And on the outside, it was pretty busy. It was when the post office opened, and there was a line of people waiting for parking. And on the outside, they have these signs posted that masks or face coverings are required in the lobby and when you're waiting. And there's some general instructions there to follow the CDC 6 feet guidelines. So in the post office, they have the plastic where you place your packages, like a plastic hanging, and then the plexiglass between you and the postal worker. And then those were the lines of demarcation, and there's the plastic.
Well, I was actually able to also go to the airport post office, and there's, you know, I mean, our line, I was standing in the sun. Their markers go out into the sun. So it's like they have actually 2 lines feeding in, one for the international mail and one for the regular mail. And then they also have, like, they're still working that self-service stuff on the side. But same with that, where I was actually standing in line when they were hanging those like clear plastics, you know, there. So this was like a number of weeks back. But so everywhere, right? Just that's the kind of point of it, is that all of this is kind of happening everywhere. However, there's some consistency. There's a thread of consistency. However, not everybody's implementing everything. And that's where the whole like call for some kind of standard that's not voluntary guidelines, but actual requirements that'll kind of help to keep everybody safe. So any other comments?
I kind of wanted to give a shout out to just our entire, you know, community in Hawaii, because I so far, at least, I've only experienced maybe or witnessed one time where I saw some negative things happening. But for the most part, I think the general public has been very flexible and patient and trying as much as possible to honor and practice what they can to protect themselves and others for the most part. I really like seeing what the businesses, well, some of them, like how we had Whole Foods and the banks and some of the different, you know, Costco, some of those businesses that are setting a pretty good standard of, even though there's not that, at least there's a general understanding and a certain, like, this is what we're supposed to be doing. It seems like, do you guys feel like that you're seeing most people come out there in the general public and trying to practice?
Yes, I think in terms of the face coverings and stuff, I think the thing that I have noticed is a hypersensitivity to, I mean, just in terms of proximity, you know, it's like you can't even joke about it. I mean, or even just like a little cough, everything is suspect, right? It's like I was standing in line safely, social distanced apart 6 feet, it was actually in Whole Foods, and my sister and I were standing together. My sister just kind of like coughed, and this lady like whipped around. It was almost like, whoa, you know, it was like a cough was so offensive. And we're like, sorry, you know, it's like, sorry for coughing. So I think that was like a few weeks back. So just more hypersensitivity, you know, we still were having masks and everything. But I think this hypersensitivity comes also just from not having like a clear message. And that's, you know, just part of the problem. Everybody's kind of random about this whole thing. Random, not the right word. However, you know what I mean.
So might be a little bit subjective.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So I did have one more that, well, I'll just talk about it. But when I went through the Jack in the Box drive-through, you know, because I eat not only premium quality food but also junk. It's a lot to maintain this body. Jack in the Box. It was very interesting because before I even ordered, you know, like my turn, I get up to the window, and before she even takes my order, she says, the lady asks, do you have a mask with you today? And I said, oh, yeah, yes, I do. She goes, okay. She goes, make sure you use it when you come up to the window. I said, okay. So she takes the order. And then, you know, as I'm driving up to the window, of course, I put it on. And then, you know, they hold the terminal, because I was paying with the card, hold the terminal out. I put it in myself, and then I took it out. And so like no contact that way. And so that was the only time that, you know, it's that enforcement, right? Enforcement of the expectations or the guidelines. And so, you know, being asked that, number one, if I had one, and then number two, being told to make sure you have it on when you come up to the window. That was different. And I was like, hey, that's pretty good for them to insist.
That is good.
Yeah. So for them to insist that the workers are protected, right, from the customer that way as well. Because I mean, I think I feel safe driving in my car by myself. And so to kind of be called out on that or like that was like, oh, yeah, okay, here's my mask sitting on the chair next to me. Let me put it on. But yeah.
I think the people of Hawaii is definitely adapting and taking a lot of other people's concerns around them. But like you said, I think earlier with the sensitivity, because there really is no set standard. Everybody's just kind of adapting to what they feel is correct, if you want to say. But I giving, like you said, Kathy earlier, definitely giving props to the Hawaii people out there, and the positivity and trying to make the best of whatever situation that they're in is definitely helpful on other people's parts. It's just being a neighbor or a friend or a family member, you know, it's definitely helps out a lot.
Mm-hmm. And so I think, sorry, go ahead.
I forgot to mention that we did this past weekend, one of the unions brought her husband to come and observe, and he is an RN. And I just asked if they could, well, they offered, and I said, yeah, that'd be great if they could come and observe and see if there's any improvements or suggestions that they could let us know about on our, basically how we're operating our food distribution. And I was very thankful because they did say thumbs up. We're doing a really good job on trying to take all the different safety measurements. There were a couple of suggestions, and just so everybody out there knows, and I do this, like Layton was saying, when you just kind of feel like it's stuffy and you want to take your mask off, you don't take it off by touching any part of the material or the actual mask, but you take it off by the ear, and then you can put it down and put it back on by the earpiece, not by touching any part of the mask.
I'm guilty of that.
Me too. Me too.
And the other thing was what I was saying earlier, how we ask everyone to social distance 6 feet, but we tend to just culturally come to, or just as a people, come together closer than that. So that's the constant reminder, which, like I was saying, I'm started to implement more like barricades, kind of like what some of the businesses are doing, because the reminder, we forget, we just end up forgetting. The other thing that they did say is we do have If you ever have like a drink or water or coffee, you do want to have a cover on it. So keep a cover, a lid or something on your drink or your coffee. And I think everyone's seen that, like in the stores where there used to be, like the Foodland used to have that olive bar, and some of the other places like Whole Foods and Foodland Farms had their what do you call it? Kind of like buffet style service where you serve your own. All of that is gone and it's pre-packed now, so it's kind of the same concept. But those were a couple of the suggestions that they made to us, and other than that, we got a good thumbs up that we're really trying hard to make sure that everybody is as protected as we can be. So thanks to the people who came out to do the observation.
And I think the other thing too that they mentioned, because when we were actually packing the produce, and like we all are individually on separate tables, safely spaced apart. And the husband and wife were working together, and I wasn't, without thinking, I said, oh, you can come and work on this table, I can go ahead and move and do something else. And they're like, oh no, we're in the same family, and so that was like another thing that it's like, so many different things that are not intuitive.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're in the same family or same household, it's like that's, you're already sharing germs, I guess. But anyway, you're living in the same environment. And then, however, if you're not in the same household, just kind of bearing those things in mind. And I think that even if the thing that I had to really think about as well is like, if I feel healthy, that's one thing. However, there's someone who is more protective for their own health because they may have underlying conditions that make them more susceptible. And so I think there's a sensitivity there and an understanding there that needs to be extended, that way, to people. So, because
Dion, you guys bring up a good point. Everybody's talking about masks and things like that, and some people are wearing disposable masks. Some people are wearing the kind of more construction type of mask, but you see a lot of fabric masks out there. Mm-hmm. Is there any, maybe another person or people that are making it coming on here and talking about how to clean your mask? Some people are saying, do you wash it? Do you just throw it in the dryer, spray Lysol on it? I think that might be another interesting topic for maybe another one of these for, others, maybe like Kathy's friend that works in the medical field, maybe, driving up that subject, maybe also maybe another one as well. Mm-hmm. Or maybe some input from this team that, might be able to get information out to the, while we're on this Facebook Live.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to be a little bit careful about that too. I mean, we can make what we've read or heard, but another girlfriend who works in the hospitals, they are talking about baking the masks, not the fabric masks, but the actual N95s. And some cities are doing that. They're actually baking their PPE, or they were in the very beginning when they could not get enough. That's one way. The other is, yes, these are not, I'm not a doctor, right? So I don't know for sure, but wash it. And the other thing that I was told, that's not, I don't know if this is definitive or not, but that you could put in a liner. They use either coffee filters or the blue shop towel that, it looks like a paper towel, but it's the blue one.
Thicker one.
Huh?
The thicker blue one yeah.
Yeah, that one, the shop towel, blue stuff, that you can cut that up and put that inside your masks. So yes, wash it. And temperature is another thing. Heat is another thing that they say contributes to sterilizing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that, we're kind of coming down to towards the end of our hour here. And I just, wanted to just acknowledge each of you for coming on and for that we are going to be sending this out to, share with the affiliates. However, Workers' Memorial Day and protection of our safety, it's not just an event that happens in a day. It's a commitment. And that's also what Workers' Memorial Day is about. It's not just mourning our dead and fighting like hell for our living or protecting our living, but renewing our commitment to safe workplaces, and right now, we have essential workers who haven't stopped working. There's no return to work for them. However, for people that with the prospect of returning to work, hopefully before more masses of people return to the workplace, we have more clear, not just guidelines, but requirements that employers need to follow in order to make sure that we, again, looking to like flatten that curve, to not exacerbate a problem, but to minimize it. And so any final comments from each one of you before we wrap up?
I'd just like to say thank you again to the people, the community, wherever you're at in Hawaii. Thank you for keeping that positive note. Stay safe, and we'll get through this.
I want to say thank you to everybody. Sorry, Kathy. Go ahead, Kathy.
I was just going to say I really wanted to give a big shout out and mahalo to all the volunteers that are working hard to getting food out to the public on the different islands. And we couldn't send out close to 150,000 pounds of food throughout these many weeks. And we couldn't do it without your folks' help. And also with the partnerships of the local food banks, we could not do it without you all. And it does take a village. It gives me hope to see, witness some of the real acts of kindness that I'm seeing out there of just people, strangers that are willing to step up and try to help other people in the community at large. I just hope everybody stays safe, and if we can stick together, we will get out of this sooner. And hopefully, we really are praying for your family, Leighton, and for all the others too that are directly affected by this, and for the people that are financially are really struggling through this as well. Thanks, everybody.
And Leslie?
No, just thank you for putting this together, Dion, and for asking us to go out in the community and be sort of, as you put it, the OSHA inspector for the day, the amateur one anyway. But I did want to also acknowledge and thank all the folks that are, as Kathy so eloquently put it, just, helping each other out on a day-to-day basis. So really fortunate to be working with my brothers and sisters on this. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for running our meeting controls today. And so just to end on a horrifying fact that I heard, I should end on a high note. However, in terms of that OSHA inspector for the day, I've heard it, I was on another meeting where they said that we only have enough OSHA inspectors to inspect every single workplace once every 165 years.
Yeah.
So we don't have enough people to, so that's a sad fact. However, on this Workers' Memorial Day, thank you guys for joining us, and we look forward to connecting with everybody in the future. Okay.
All
right.
Leighton didn't say anything.
Oh, Leighton, go ahead.
That's great. No, I just wanted to say thank you to all the construction workers that are working out there, and thank you to all the essential workers that are keeping things going right now, especially the ones on the front line. And then thank you to my co-hosts, Dion, Dr. Lopez, Kathy, and Justin. And let's do this again. This is really good.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All right, you guys, you take care out there.
Take care, everybody.
Aloha.
Aloha.